The cargo ship Haniel was old and tired. Its metal walls made strange sounds at night, and the heating system never worked properly. But Taiho did not mind. He had worked on this ship for 7 years, and it felt like home to him. Taiho was 32 years old. He was not tall, not short. His hands were rough from years of fixing engines and carrying heavy boxes. He did not talk much. The other crew members thought he was strange because he spent his free time reading old books and looking at the stars. Through the small window in his room, Captain Do-yoon was a good man, but he followed the rules very carefully. Their job was simple. They carried supplies from one space station to another. They did not explore. They did not take risks. They just delivered boxes and got paid. That night, everything changed. Taeho was checking the engine when the alarm started beeping. It was not the emergency alarm. It was something else. A distress signal. He ran to the control room where Captain Do-yoon and the pilot Junho were already looking at the screen. "It's coming from the asteroid belt," Junho said. "Sector 47. Captain Do-yoon shook his head. "That area is not on our route. We should report it to the authorities and continue." "But sir," Taiho said quietly, "the signal is weak. If someone is hurt, they might not survive until help arrives." The captain looked at him. "We are a cargo ship, Taiho, not a rescue team." "I know," Taiho replied. "But what if it was one of us out there?" The control room was silent. Junho looked at his feet. Captain Do-yoon stared at the blinking dot on the screen. Finally, he let out a long breath. "Fine, but we only look. If it's dangerous, we leave immediately." The asteroid belt was a graveyard of rocks and dust. The Haniel moved slowly, its lights cutting through the darkness. And then they saw it, a ship, or what was left of one. The vessel was torn apart. Pieces of metal floated everywhere like broken toys. Burn marks covered what remained of the hull. This was not an accident. Someone had attacked this ship. "There's no life signs," Junho reported. "Whatever happened here, it's over." But Taiho was not listening. He was looking at something else. A small section of the ship that was still intact. An escape pod, maybe. Or a storage room. "I want to go inside," he said. Captain Do-yoon turned to him. "Are you crazy? That structure could collapse any moment." "I know, but I saw something. Movement. Just for a second." The captain wanted to say no. Taiho could see it in his eyes. But something stopped him. Maybe it was the way Taiho looked at him. Maybe it was his own conscience. "You have 20 minutes, the captain said. "Not a second more." Taiho put on his spacesuit and entered the wreckage. The inside was dark and cold. Bodies floated in the hallway. Aliens he did not recognize. Tall, thin, with silver skin and 4 arms. Their eyes were still open, frozen in fear. He tried not to look at them. He kept moving. The sound came from a small room at the end of the hall. It was barely a sound. A whimper. Like a wounded animal trying to stay quiet. Taiho pushed the door open. She was small. Very small. A child, no bigger than a human 7-year-old. Her skin was pale silver like the others, but softer, almost glowing. She had 2 large eyes the color of purple flowers. One of her 4 arms was bent at a wrong angle. Blood, dark blue, covered her chest. When she saw Taiho, she screamed. Or tried to. Her voice was weak, broken. "It's okay," Taiho said softly. He did not know if she understood him. He did not care. He knelt down slowly and raised his hands to show he meant no harm. "I'm not going to hurt you. I'm here to help." The child stared at him with those big purple eyes. She was shaking. So afraid. So alone. Taiho removed his outer jacket and wrapped it around her. She flinched at first, but then she stopped shaking. Just a little. Can you move? He asked. She did not answer. Maybe she did not understand. But when Taiho reached out his arms, she let him pick her up. She weighed almost nothing. Taiho, your time is almost up. Captain Do-hyun's voice crackled through the radio. I'm coming, Taiho replied. I found a survivor. A child. There was silence. Then the captain's voice, shocked. A child? Taiho carried her back through the wreckage, past the bodies, past the floating metal. The child buried her face in his chest. She did not want to see. When they returned to the Hanyul, there was no medical bay for aliens. No special food. No translator. They had nothing. But Taiho did not let that stop him. For 3 days, he stayed with the child in the cargo hold. He shared his oxygen rations when she had trouble breathing. He gave her water drop by drop. He fed her the nutrient paste meant for humans, hoping it would not make her sick. At night, when she cried, he sang to her. Old Korean songs his mother used to sing. The child did not understand the words, but she understood the feeling. She would close her purple eyes and hold his hand with her tiny fingers. On the 3rd day, they reached Outpost 7. Taiho carried the child to the medical center himself. The doctors took her away, and he watched through the window as they worked to save her life. A nurse asked him for his name. For paperwork, she said. Taiho just shook his head. It doesn't matter. Just take care of her. And then he walked back to the Hanyul, returned to his small room, and continued his journey across the stars. He never learned that the child he saved was Princess Lyra, the only daughter of Queen Vila, ruler of the Ethran Empire. He never imagined that his simple act of kindness had changed the course of galactic history. He was just a man who saw a scared child and decided to help. Nothing more, nothing less. Queen Vela had ruled the Ethran Empire for 200 years. She had seen wars that destroyed entire planets. She had watched civilizations rise and fall like waves in an ocean. Nothing surprised her anymore. Nothing scared her until the day her daughter's ship disappeared. The royal cruiser was supposed to be safe. It had the best guards, the strongest shields, the fastest engines. Princess Lyra was traveling to a diplomatic ceremony on a nearby system. A simple trip. Nothing dangerous. Then the signal went dead. For 3 weeks, Queen Vela searched. She sent her entire fleet across the galaxy. She threatened planets. She destroyed space stations that refused to help. She did not sleep. She did not eat. She only searched. The Ethran people had never seen their queen like this. Vala was known for being cold, calculating. She made decisions with her mind, not her heart. But now, her heart was breaking, and everyone could see it. Commander Ren was her most loyal soldier. He had served the queen for 100 years. He had seen her win impossible battles and make impossible choices. But he had never seen her cry. Until today. They were in the war room when the message arrived. A small medical outpost called Outpost 7 had sent a report. A cargo ship had found the wreckage of a royal cruiser. Everyone on board was dead. Everyone except one. Princess Lyra is alive, the message said. She is in critical condition, but stable. Please send representatives immediately. Queen Vela read the message 3 times. Her hands were shaking. The tears came before she could stop them. Her daughter was alive. Prepare my ship, she ordered. Her voice was strong again. We leave now. The Queen's personal vessel was the largest in the fleet. It was black like the night sky, and its weapons could destroy a moon. When it appeared above Outpost 7, the people there thought they were going to die. But Queen Vela did not come for war. She walked through the medical center like a storm. Guards moved out of her way. Doctors bowed their heads. She was taller than any human, her silver skin glowing faintly, her purple eyes burning with emotion. And then she saw her daughter. Lyra was lying on a small bed. Her broken arm was wrapped in bandages. Her chest was covered in healing patches. But she was breathing. She was alive, Mother. Lyra's voice was small and tired. Queen Vila fell to her knees beside the bed. For the first time in 200 years, she forgot about her empire, her power, her reputation. She was just a mother holding her child. I thought I lost you, she whispered. I thought you were gone forever. Lyra smiled weakly and touched her mother's face with her tiny hand. Someone saved me, Mother. A creature. He was warm. He sang to me. The queen looked at her daughter with confusion. What creature? Who saved you? Lyra tried to remember. The memories were blurry. She had been so scared, so hurt. But she remembered him clearly. The strange being with only 2 arms. His rough hands that were somehow gentle. His eyes that looked at her without fear or disgust. He was different from us, Lyra said. He could not breathe the same air, but he shared his air with me. He could not speak my language, but he told me stories. He sang songs that made the fear go away. Queen Vila listened carefully. Her heart felt strange. Something she had not felt in a long time. Gratitude. Where is this creature now? She asked. The doctors did not know. The nurses did not know. The security guards checked their records, but the being had never given his name. He had simply carried the child to the medical center and disappeared. Find him, Queen Vila commanded. Her voice filled the room like thunder. I want to know who saved my daughter. I want to know everything about him. Commander Wren stepped forward. Yes, my queen. I will begin the search immediately. Over the next few days, they gathered information. The ship that found the wreckage was a small cargo vessel called the Haniel. It was registered to a species called humans. A primitive species from a small blue planet called Earth. Queen Vela had never paid attention to humans before. They were weak. Their lives were short. They had no special powers, no advanced technology. In the eyes of the Ethran Empire, they were barely worth noticing. But one of these weak creatures had done something extraordinary. Lyra told the story again and again. How the human had found her in the dark. How he had wrapped her in his own clothes to keep her warm. How he had given her food and water even when he had little for himself. How he had held her hand through the long nights. Why would he do this? Queen Vila asked. We have never helped humans. We have never even spoken to them. Why would he risk his life for an Ethran child? Lyra thought about it. She was young, but she was not stupid. She knew that most species in the galaxy only helped others when they expected something in return. That was how the universe worked. But the human had not asked for anything. He had not even left his name. Maybe he is just kind, Mother, Lyra said simply. Maybe some creatures do good things because it is the right thing to do. Queen Vila was silent for a long time. She had ruled for 2 centuries. She had seen the darkest parts of the galaxy. She had learned that everyone wanted something. Trust was weakness. Kindness was foolishness. But her daughter was alive because of a stranger's kindness. Commander Wren, she said finally, I do not care how long it takes. I do not care how much it costs. Find this human. Bring him to me. Wren bowed deeply. And if he does not want to come? Queen Vela looked at her daughter, who was now sleeping peacefully for the first time in weeks. The anger that had filled her heart was being replaced by something else. Something softer. Then tell him that a mother wants to thank the one who saved her child, she said. Tell him that Queen Vila of the Ethran Empire owes him a debt that can never be repaid. The commander nodded and left to begin his mission. The search for the unknown human had begun, across the galaxy. On a small cargo ship called the Haniel, Taiho was fixing the engine again. He thought about the little alien girl sometimes. He wondered if she was okay. He hoped she had found her family. He had no idea that the most powerful empire in the galaxy was looking for him. He had no idea that his life was about to change. Forever. He was just a simple man who had done a simple thing. And that was exactly what made him extraordinary. Commander Wren had fought in 17 wars. He had tracked criminals across dozens of star systems. He had found hidden rebels in the darkest corners of the galaxy. But this mission was different. He was looking for one human. One small, ordinary human who had not left a name, a picture, or any record of himself. The Ethran intelligence network was the best in the known universe. They had spies in every government. They had informants in every space station. They could find anyone, anywhere in a matter of days. But 8 months had passed, and Commander Wren was still searching. The problem was simple. The human did not want to be found. He had not told anyone what he did. He had not asked for a reward. He had simply walked away and continued his life as if nothing had happened. Wren had to respect that, even as it frustrated him. His first stop was Outpost 7. He interviewed every doctor, every nurse, every guard. They all remembered the human who carried in the silver-skinned child. They described him as quiet, serious, with kind eyes and hands covered in work marks. But no one knew his name. He just left, the nurse told Wren. I asked him to fill out the papers, but he said it did not matter. He said to take care of the child. Then he was gone. Wren traced the cargo ship's registration. The Haniel was owned by a small human trading company. It traveled between stations, delivering supplies. Nothing special. Nothing interesting. He found the ship 3 weeks later at a fuel station near the border of Ethran space. Captain Do-hyun was surprised when armed Ethran soldiers boarded his vessel. We are looking for information, Commander Wren told him, about the alien child your crew found in the asteroid belt. Captain Do-hyun's face went pale. The child. She was royalty? She is Princess Lyra, the only daughter of Queen Vela. The captain nearly fell over. He grabbed the wall to steady himself. For a moment, he could not speak. Then the words came pouring out. We had no idea. She was just a child. Taiho, he was the one who insisted we investigate the signal. He was the one who went into the wreckage. He saved her. He took care of her for 3 days until we reached the station. Wren felt something unlock in his chest. A name, finally. Taiho, he repeated. Tell me about him. Captain Do-hyun told him everything. Taiho had worked on the ship for 7 years. He was the best engineer they ever had. Quiet, hardworking, never complained. He kept to himself, but was always ready to help when someone needed it. Where's he now? Wren asked. The captain's face fell. He left 4 months ago. His sister on Earth got sick. Some kind of blood disease. He went home to take care of her. Earth. The human home world. Wren had never visited Earth. Most Ethrans had not. It was a small planet at the edge of known space. The humans were friendly but primitive. They had only recently developed faster than light travel. In the grand politics of the galaxy, Earth did not matter. But now, Earth had the one thing the Ethran Empire needed. Commander Wren sent a message to Queen Vela. I have found him. His name is Taiho. He is on Earth. The Queen's reply came within the hour. Go to Earth. Find him. Bring him to me. The journey to Earth took 2 weeks. Wren used the time to learn about humans. He read their history. He studied their culture. He watched their videos and listened to their music. They were strange creatures. Their lives were so short. 80 years, maybe 90 if they were lucky. In Ethran terms, that was nothing. A blink of an eye. Yet they did so much with their brief time. They built cities. They created art. They loved and fought and dreamed. They were weak in body, but strong in spirit. Ren began to understand why one of them might risk everything for a child who was not his own. Earth was a beautiful planet, blue and green and white. It reminded Ren of Ethera before the great cities covered everything. He felt a strange sadness as his ship entered the atmosphere. Finding Taiho was not difficult. The Ethran network had already gathered information. He lived in a city called Bizan, on a peninsula called Korea. He worked at a shipyard during the day and visited his sister at a medical center every evening. Ren watched him for 3 days before making contact. Taiho was exactly as Captain De Yoon described. A quiet man with rough hands and kind eyes. He worked hard, harder than anyone around him. He did not complain. He did not talk much. He just did his job and went home. At night, he sat beside his sister's bed. Her name was Yuna. She was 28 years old and very sick. The doctor said she needed expensive treatment. Treatment that Taiho could not afford. So he worked double shifts. He sold his belongings. He did everything he could to save her life. Ren understood now. This was the kind of person who would share his oxygen with a dying alien child. This was the kind of person who would give everything for someone he loved, even a stranger. On the 4th day, Ren approached Taiho at the shipyard. "My name is Commander Ren of the Ethran Empire," he said in careful English. "I believe you saved someone very important." Taiho looked at him without expression. He was not surprised to see an alien. He was not scared. He just looked tired. "The little girl?" he asked. "Is she okay?" Of all the questions he could have asked, that was the one he chose. Not about rewards. Not about why the Ethran Empire was looking for him. Just about the child. "She is alive and healthy," Ren replied. "Because of you." Taiho nodded slowly. Something like relief crossed his face. "Good. That is good. She is also Princess Lyra, daughter of Queen Vela, ruler of the Ethran Empire." Taiho blinked. Then he let out a small laugh. "That scared little girl is a princess." "Yes, and her mother wants to meet you." Taiho was silent for a long moment. He looked at his hands, covered in grease from the machines. He looked at the shipyard around him. He thought about his sister lying in her hospital bed. "I cannot leave," he said finally. "My sister is sick. She needs me." Commander Ren had expected this. "The Queen can help your sister. Ethran medicine is far more advanced than human technology. We can cure diseases that your doctors cannot." Taiho's eyes widened. For the first time, Ren saw hope in them. Real, desperate hope. "You can save her?" "Yes. The Queen wishes to thank you properly. She would never let the family of her daughter's savior suffer." Taiho stood very still. His hands were shaking. All these months, he had worked so hard, hoping for a miracle. And now the miracle was standing in front of him. "When do we leave?" he asked. Commander Ren smiled. It was the first time he had smiled in months. "The Queen's ship arrives tomorrow," he said. "She wanted to thank you personally." Taiho did not know what to say. He did not know what to feel. He was just a cargo ship engineer who had helped a scared child. He never expected anything in return. But the universe had other plans. And the most powerful Queen in the galaxy was coming to meet him. The sky over Bizan turned dark at noon. People stopped walking on the streets. Cars pulled over. Everyone looked up. The ship was massive. It blocked out the sun like a second moon. Black metal covered its surface, and lights glowed along its edges like stars trapped in a cage. It was the most beautiful and terrifying thing the people of Earth had ever seen. Governments around the world panicked. Military planes took off. Emergency meetings started. Everyone wanted to know the same thing. Why was the Ethran Empire here? Why was the Ethran Empire here? What did they want? Taiho knew the answer, but he could not believe it. He stood outside the shipyard with Commander Ren beside him. Other workers gathered at a safe distance, watching with wide eyes. Taiho had not told them anything. He did not know how to explain that an alien queen was coming to see him. "Do not be afraid," Commander Ren said. "The queen has no intention of harming your planet." "I'm not afraid," Taiho replied honestly. "Just confused. I didn't do anything special." Ren looked at him with something like wonder. "You truly believe that, don't you?" Before Taiho could answer, a smaller ship detached from the main vessel and descended toward the ground. It landed in an empty lot near the shipyard, its engines humming softly. Dust swirled in the air. The doors opened slowly. Taiho's breath caught in his throat. She was tall. Taller than any human. Her skin was silver like polished metal, and her 4 arms were folded elegantly at her sides. She wore robes made of fabric that shimmered between blue and gold. A crown made of floating crystals hovered above her head, but her eyes were what Taiho noticed most. Purple, like flowers, like the little girl he had saved. Except these eyes had seen centuries. These eyes had made impossible choices and carried impossible burdens. Queen Vila of the Ethran Empire had arrived. Behind her came guards, advisors, officials. They spread out like a protective wall. But the queen walked forward alone. Then Taiho saw something that made his heart stop. Small figure pushed past the guards and ran toward him. Taiho! He would recognize that voice anywhere. The little girl from the wreckage. Except she was not so little anymore. She looked healthier, stronger. Her broken arm was healed. Her silver skin glowed with life instead of death. "Lyra?" Taiho whispered. She crashed into him, her 4 small arms wrapping around his waist. He fell to his knees and held her tight. She was crying, laughing, speaking words he could not understand, but he understood the feeling. "I looked for you," Lyra said in broken English. Someone had taught her the words. "I wanted to find you, to say thank you." Taiho's eyes were burning. He told himself he would not cry. He was a grown man. Men did not cry, but his tears came anyway. "I'm so glad you're okay," he said. "I thought about you every day. I hoped you found your family." Lyra pulled back and smiled at him. It was the first real smile he had seen from her. In the darkness of the cargo hold, she had been too scared to smile. Now she was full of light. "I found my family," she said. "And now I found you too." Queen Vila watched in silence. Her advisors whispered among themselves. This was not proper protocol. The princess should not be hugging a common alien in front of everyone. It was beneath her status. But the queen did not care about protocol right now. She stepped forward until she stood directly in front of Taiho. He looked up at her. This being who controlled hundreds of planets, who commanded fleets that could destroy worlds. He should have been terrified. Instead, he slowly stood up, keeping one hand on Lyra's shoulder. "Your Majesty," he said quietly. His voice did not shake. "Your daughter is very brave. You should be proud of her." The advisors gasped. No one spoke to the queen so casually. No one mentioned family to her so directly. It was unheard of, but Queen Vela did something that shocked everyone. She smiled. "My daughter speaks of you constantly," she said. Her English was perfect, learned specifically for this meeting. "She tells me of the human who sang to her in the dark, who gave her air when she could not breathe, who held her hand through the long nights." "Anyone would have done the same," Taiho replied. "No." The queen's voice was firm. "They would not. I have ruled for 200 years. I have seen every species in this galaxy. Most would have left her to die. Some would have saved her for reward. But you saved her because she was scared. Because she was alone." Taiho did not know what to say. He looked at Lyra, who was still holding his hand. She was just a child who needed help, he said finally. What else was I supposed to do? Queen Vila was silent for a long moment. In her 2 centuries of life, she had met warriors, kings, geniuses, and monsters. She had seen the best and worst of the universe, but she had never met anyone like this human. His words were not calculated. He was not trying to impress her. He was not asking for anything. He simply could not understand why saving a child was considered extraordinary. Commander Ren told me about your sister, the Queen said. She is ill. Taiho's face changed. The calm acceptance disappeared. In its place was raw pain, the kind that only comes from watching someone you love suffer. Yes, he admitted. The doctors say the treatment is very expensive. I am trying, but... She will be healed, Queen Vela interrupted. Tonight. My physicians will see to her personally. Taiho stared at her. His mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. This is not payment, the Queen continued. There is no payment for what you did. This is simply what should happen. The sister of my daughter's savior should not be allowed to die when we have the power to save her. I don't know what to say. Say nothing. You did not ask for thanks when you saved Lyra. I will not ask for thanks for saving your Yuna. Something passed between them in that moment. An understanding. 2 people who would do anything for the ones they loved. 2 people who did not keep score. Lyra tugged on Taiho's hand. Can I meet your sister? Taiho looked down at the princess, at her big purple eyes full of hope and curiosity. He thought about Yuna lying in her hospital bed, fighting every day to survive. I think she would like that very much, he said. For the first time in months, Taiho felt something he had almost forgotten. Hope, real hope. Not the desperate kind that fades with each passing day, but the solid kind. The kind that makes you believe tomorrow will be better than today. Queen Vela watched the human walk toward the hospital, her daughter's hand in his. The crowd parted for them. Cameras flashed. People whispered that the most powerful queen in the galaxy had come to Earth. Not for war. Not for conquest. Not for resources. She had come to thank one ordinary man who had done one extraordinary thing. And in that moment, the universe shifted. Just a little. Just enough. Humanity was no longer invisible. They had been seen. They had been recognized. They had proven themselves worthy of attention, all because one man refused to leave a scared child behind. The hospital room was small and plain. White walls, a single window, old machines that beat quietly in the corner. Yuna lay in the narrow bed, her eyes closed, her breathing shallow. She looked tired. She had been fighting for so long. When the door opened, she expected to see her brother. Instead, she saw something impossible. 3 alien beings walked into her room. 2 were tall, with silver skin and 4 arms, dressed in uniforms that looked like liquid metal. The 3rd was smaller, a child with purple eyes that sparkled like stars. Behind them came Taiho, and behind him came the most magnificent creature Yuna had ever seen. A queen made of silver and light, wearing a crown of floating crystals. Yuna thought she must be dreaming. Sister, Taiho said softly, sitting beside her bed. I need to tell you something. He told her everything. The distress signal, the wreckage, the little alien girl he had found and saved. He told her about the 3 days in the cargo hold, the songs he sang, the oxygen he shared. He told her that the child was a princess and that her mother had come to Earth to say thank you. Yuna listened without speaking. When he finished, she looked at the aliens standing in her room. Then she looked at her brother. You never told me, she said. I didn't think it mattered. Yuna laughed weakly. It hurt to laugh, but she could not help it. Her brother had saved alien royalty and thought it did not matter. That was exactly like him. Queen Vela stepped forward. She was too tall for the room. Her crown almost touched the ceiling, but her voice was gentle when she spoke. Your brother saved my daughter's life. Now my physicians will save yours. Two Ethran doctors entered the room. They carried equipment that looked nothing like human medicine. Devices that glowed with soft blue light. Machines that floated on their own. Within 1 hour, the disease that had been killing Yuna for months was gone. She sat up in bed, color returning to her cheeks, strength returning to her body. She touched her arms, her face, her chest, feeling life flow through her again. Tears streamed down her face. How? She whispered. How is this possible? Our technology is advanced, Queen Vela replied. But technology means nothing without a reason to use it. Your brother gave us the reason. Yuna looked at Taiho, her big brother, who had worked himself to exhaustion trying to save her, who had never complained, never stopped fighting, never gave up hope. Thank you, she said to him. Thank you for never giving up on me. Taiho held her hand. He could not speak. There were no words for what he felt. That night, Queen Vela stayed in the small apartment where Taiho and Yuna lived. Her advisors had prepared a magnificent room in the finest hotel in the city. But the queen refused. She wanted to understand. The apartment was tiny. 1 bedroom, a small living room, a kitchen barely big enough for 1 person. The furniture was old. The walls needed paint. There was nothing valuable, nothing special, except for the pictures on the wall. Taiho and Yuna as children. Their parents, who had died years ago. Birthdays, holidays, ordinary days made precious by memory. Queen Vela studied these pictures for a long time. You live simply, she said. Taiho nodded. We don't need much. I could give you anything. Planets to rule. Wealth beyond imagination. A seat on the Imperial Council. You would never have to work again. Taiho looked at his hands. The same rough hands that had carried Lyra through the wreckage. The same hands that fixed engines and built ships. I appreciate the offer, he said carefully. But I like my work. I like my life. I don't need planets or councils or wealth. The queen studied him. In her 200 years, no one had ever refused her gifts. Power was supposed to be attractive. Wealth was supposed to be desirable. Yet this human wanted none of it. Then what do you want? She asked. Taiho thought about it. He thought about the little girl in the cargo hold, so scared and alone. He thought about the 3 days he spent keeping her alive, not knowing if it would make any difference. I would like to see Lyra again, he said. Sometime. If that's allowed, I would like to know that she's happy and safe. Queen Vela was silent. Then she did something that her advisors had never seen in 2 centuries. She laughed. It was a real laugh. Warm and surprised and full of something like wonder. She laughed because this human, who had been offered everything, asked only to visit the child he had saved. You are extraordinary, she said. You truly do not see it, do you? I'm just a man, Taiho replied. Nothing more, no. The queen shook her head. You are proof that kindness exists even when nothing is expected in return. You are proof that strangers can care for strangers. In a galaxy filled with greed and fear, you are something rare, something precious. She stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the city lights sparkled like ground-bound stars. Millions of humans living their brief lives, dreaming their small dreams. I came here thinking humans were insignificant, she admitted. I knew nothing about your species. You are young. You are weak. Your technology is primitive. In the eyes of my empire, you barely mattered. She turned back to face Taiho. I was wrong. The next month, Queen Vela signed a protection treaty with Earth. Humanity, once ignored by the galaxy, was now under the direct protection of the Ethran Empire. No one could threaten them. No one could harm them. They were recognized. They were respected. And it all happened because one man did one simple thing. Taiho returned to work at the shipyard. But sometimes, when he looked at the sky, he saw a small shuttle descending from orbit. Inside was a young Ethran princess who had become like family to him. Lyra visited often. She played games with Yuna. She ate Korean food and complained that it was too spicy. She begged Taiho to sing the old songs, the ones from the cargo hold, even though she knew them by heart now. "Why do you keep coming back?" Taiho asked her once. "You're a princess. You could be anywhere in the galaxy." Lyra thought about it seriously, the way children do when they want to give the right answer. "Because you were there when no one else was," she said. "Because you made me feel safe when I was scared. Because you're my friend." Taiho smiled and ruffled her silver hair. She swatted his hand away and pretended to be annoyed. But she was smiling too. Across the galaxy, beings told the story of the human who saved the Ethran princess. It spread from planet to planet, from species to species. Some did not believe it. Some thought it was propaganda. Some could not understand why anyone would risk their life for a stranger's child. But others listened carefully. They heard about the quiet man with rough hands who asked for nothing. The Jew is within Jews' hand, with rough hands who asked for nothing. They heard about the songs in the cargo hold, the oxygen shared in darkness, the simple kindness that changed everything, and they began to wonder. Maybe the humans were not so primitive after all. Maybe there was something special about these short-lived creatures from the small blue planet. Maybe, just maybe, they had something the rest of the galaxy had forgotten. Compassion without calculation, kindness without condition, love without limit. That was the gift of humanity, and it was extraordinary.